Hello everyone, welcome to Cherry Clips. Today I will be sharing a movie named Beautiful Vampire. Ran is a 500-year-old vampire who chooses to live an ordinary life among human beings. She runs a makeup shop within a quiet alley in Seoul. Ran needs to check the UV exposure every time before she goes out. She passes through a secret tunnel and puts on heavy sunscreen. In addition, she suppresses her urge for human blood. Instead, she buys pig blood from a meat store. The store owner loves this regular. She gives some extra raw meat to Ran. However, Ran prefers blood. She always chops the meat up and distributes it to the wild cats. The makeup shop business is not getting any better. Ran spends lots of money on sunscreens, so she can't save money even after 500 years. What's more, the landlord increases her rent by 300%. Ran has no choice but to send out flyers at the subway entrance. To fight for the first potential customer, she competes with another man. She wins and pushes him on the ground. But she doesn't win any customers. She feels sorry for the man. When she pulls him up, she notices a 50,000 note. Regardless of her manner, Ran chases after the note on the street. When she finally holds it, it's merely a coupon from a market. Ran walks home alone in the middle of the night. She passes by a young man, Lee. Lee smells the same as Ran's best friend, Joe. She knew Ran was a vampire, but she didn't treat her any differently. The next day, Ran opens her shop and posts the discount information. Soon, Lee shows up in her shop. He needs to look fantastic for an audition. The familiar scent disturbs Ran. Ran wants to turn down Lee, but she needs the business to pay rent. To isolate the scent, Ran uses cotton to block her nose. In Lee's eyes, Ran stares at him and touches him inappropriately. He assumes that Ran is interested in him. At the end of the makeup session, the cotton drops out of Ran's nose. She can't control her eagerness for blood. Just when she bites Lee on his neck, the landlord comes by. She is actually Lee's mother. She sent Lee abroad to study real estate so he can inherit her properties. Lee stayed abroad for 6 months. He got in touch with acting and developed an interest. He came back behind his mother's back to chase after his acting dream. The landlord thinks that Ran is seducing Lee. She is furious. She barges towards Ran. Ran uses her vampire power and stops her with a finger. Lee sneaks out when they are fighting against each other. The landlord calms down and makes a deal with Ran. As long as she refuses to do makeup for Lee, she will deduct the amount from her rent. Ran agrees and asks for $150,000 for the makeup she did just now. Earlier this morning, Ran changed the price to $100,000 to attract more customers. Ran continues to promote her business and post flyers on the street. She comes across the meat shop owner. The owner resorts to drinking because her rent increases as well. She complains to Ran how hard she's worked for the past 20 years. She also admires how young Ran looks after all these years. Ran listens to her carefully. Later, on her way home, Lee waits for her by her door. He gives her the money that she earned. Then, he invites her to kiss him and have dinner with him. Ran smells his scent and ignores his suggestions. Lee turns her around and kisses her on the lips. This reminds Ran of her best friend. She was always by Ran's side. She even sacrificed her life for Ran. To prevent the same sad ending, Ran pushes Lee away. She tells Lee that she made a promise to his mother not to do makeup for him anymore. Speaking of the devil, the landlord knocks on her door and looks for Lee. Lee is afraid of his mother. He begs Ran to hide him. They successfully cheat the landlord. Ran doubts if Lee is a descendant of Joe. To verify her theory, she keeps him company when he donates blood. However, the nurse refused to give her Lee's blood. Lee judges from her pale face and her action that Ran is dying. Ran walks away disappointed. There are some posters of a famous actor who's also named Joe. Ran rips off the posters. Lee wonders who Joe is. Ran explains that Joe was a very gifted actor. She means a lot to Ran. To double confirm if Lee inherits the same acting gift, Ran comes to his rehearsal. Lee doesn't know anything about acting. It's disappointing and embarrassing. Meanwhile, the landlord finds a copy of Ran's ID when she signed the lease. The birth date is 1957. This doesn't coincide with her young face, so she enters Ran's house without notifying her. The landlord discovers the secret room and the refrigerator filled with pig blood and sunscreens. She is positive that Ran is not a normal human being. She learns from the internet how to subdue vampires. Lee is excited that Ran shows up at his rehearsal. He introduces another character he will audition. It's a boy who lives next to a vampire girl. Ran instructs him how to act properly. Lee is getting better. He reads the lines from the movie with emotions. Ran loses control and bites Lee. When she comes to her senses, Lee loses too much blood and passes out. This is exactly the same way Joe died. The blood Lee drops becomes rubies. But Ran carries Lee out for help. She doesn't have time to pick up the rubies. Despite the sun burning, Ran looks for help from anyone passing by. The sun shines on her. She loses her power and tumbles on the ground. Finally, the meat shop owner offers her a hand. She puts Lee in a shopping cart and pushes him to a nearby hospital. Lee wakes up. Now he knows who Ran is. He comes back to her shop. Ran confesses all the truth and apologizes to him. The landlord also rushes into her shop. She demands Ran turn her into a vampire. This is what happened. The landlord planned to exterminate the vampire for the safety of the district. Halfway to the police station, Ran passed out because she tried to save Lee. As the mother of Lee, the landlord was moved. She dragged Ran back to her store. After a while, Ran's face healed. The landlord was amazed at the vampire's power. Also, if she's immortal, she can collect rent forever. To win Ran's consent, the landlord offers to decrease her rent. Ran considers the whole neighborhood. She argues that if the landlord can decrease rent for all her tenants, she will do that. The landlord hesitates. She will think about this for a day, then come back with her decision. After his mother goes away, Lee confirms with Ran again her feelings towards him. Ran only admits that he has the same scent as Joe. That's why she approaches him. Although Ran tries to hide her feelings, she shows Lee the rubies. She collects all his blood and cherishes them. She tells Lee that she collects Joe's rubies and makes them into a necklace. In this way, it creates the illusion that Joe never goes away. Lee feels sorry for Ran. He's standing in front of her. She doesn't need rubies to remember him. After consideration, the landlord transforms into a vampire. She can't go out during the day, so she uses a telescope to check her properties. Ran admits her love to Lee. Lee acts like her boyfriend. He distributes flyers for her. However, when the girls surround Lee, Ran is jealous. She drags him back home. To thank the meat shop owner for her help, Ran buys a delicate hairpin for her. After Ran leaves the shop, a girl looking exactly like Joe walks in. She asks the owner about Ran. Then she stares at Ran's back and gets lost in thought.